uncannily look like me and Paul. Oh boy.
Yay!
Oh,
Hey.
okay, cool. We're showing up.
Yeah, we're
showing
live.
up on the interwebs.
Are we not saying live and like hello?
Yes. Okay. Sorry. I was waiting till I could. Sorry, I was waiting till I could see us on the channels.
There's a delay.
Guys, there is. I know. Hey guys, welcome to the Comics Hall. We got a little bit of a different format going this week. So I'm Amy, and I've got take turns, maybe.
I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Jeff. It's me.
And
Jeff.
it doesn't rhyme, but we're the Comics Hall.
My brother's name is Paul, so we can just roll with it.
Okay, cool. So you guys might notice we got a little bit of a different format running. We are kind of in a transition period where we're changing some things up for you guys. We're still going to be bringing you guys the Comics Hall content you love. And Paul will be back on the airwaves with us next week. But in the meantime, we do have a lot of comic book news to discuss. We're going to be discussing what we're reading, what we've been reading, how we've been navigating this brave new world, and then some kind of massive updates because this was a big week for things happening and things not happening. But before we get to that, we do have a giveaway going on for you guys, and our moderators are going to drop that link in the chats. There will be a secret code word sometime during the show that will give you extra entries. So if you want to hold on and pay attention and listen out for that, then you can go and enter the Gleam giveaway. For it is a Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy statue from DC Direct. It is very cute, very lovely, and you can enter to win that via our Gleam. So without further ado, Comics Hall. Let's start kind of with some of the news from this week.
There's been some news.
There's been, and you had to remind me that happened this week. It seems like it just happened, but also that it's been a part of the news. San Diego Comic-Con has officially canceled for the year. There will be no San Diego Comic-Con for 2020. They have announced their intended return in 2021. And I do like the fact that they are offering badge holders the chance to transfer forward to next year. But that is kind of a big blow to the comic book world.
It's funny too, not just to the world, but to our world specifically. I mean, Sideshow only does, 2 conventions a year as Sideshow?
Usually,
yeah. Like yeah. So that, we Sideshow became sort of the center point of Comic-Con, and now I had a panel, a Sideshow panel that I was setting up and getting ready to put through the guests I had. So I had some amazing comic guests already lined up. And it is a bummer, but it's also like, hey, I don't want anyone to like die.
Yeah, considering the affectionate con crud that everybody's like, I got con crud this year. This is much worse. This is con crud's big mean cousin who will beat you up in the back alley. So we want people staying safe. It is a big change up though for people. So like I know there's going to be people who had their panels canceled, and there's going to be a lot of artists who aren't going to be able to exhibit their works, but I'm sure that they're going to be creating new things, and those will probably go on their online stores this year.
Yeah, there's been a lot of con at home stuff. There's been a lot of people that have been pushing, for like taking commissions now, and their time is freed up. But for a lot of people in the comics industry, especially artists, that one weekend is like sometimes 15% of their annual income. So to have that disappear, obviously nobody's like, no, they should have it. So it's like, it's kind of like man.
Yeah. And we're looking to, there's, and I'm not going to name names, but there are still some conventions that act as though they are carrying on. And I know that it's hard for them to want to cancel, but to then continue saying, no, we're fine, we're still going forward. That's also a very difficult thing for people to kind of.
I think there are legal reasons for that. I think there's a lot of stuff that has to do with the canceling and breakup of when we're gonna say like sorry, I just totally shifted out there, but of the breaking of contracts. So like a lot of times, like when you're contracted to a convention center, for example, if the convention cancels but the center doesn't, then the convention is responsible financially to fulfill that contract. So a lot of times they just have to say they're happening because the convention will lose all of its money if it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jasmine,
Well,
thoughts?
Most of what I mean, I've never been to SDCC. It's on my list to go one day. I always go to New York Comic Con, so I'm sitting here going, "Wow, like maybe it should be canceled, maybe it shouldn't. I really don't want it to be, but I do if it means the health and safety of others stays. I mean, I want people to be okay in this
Mhm.
time. It's kind of far away, but not as far away as like I'd like to think it is. Um, for me, it's a lot of I wonder how conventions are going to change in the future when they do reopen. Like, how will people actually experience going out into huge crowds again? Will we all rush right into it because we've missed everybody so much and we want to do all of that again? Or will there be more trepidation and like, I don't know, I don't want to get like a little sick at all, so no con crowd, no like how are we all going to manage that when the time comes again? It's really interesting to think about.
yeah, I'm going guns blazing. I can't not.
Yeah.
Like it's so like I know it's going to be a problem because I'm a hugger, and that's going to be a problem when I see all my friends. Well, because conventions for a lot of us are like summer camp. You
Yep.
know, they are
Yes.
they are very much like the oh my god, I haven't seen you since the last time we did this, and I missed you, and give me a hug, and what do you got, and let me see, and that's going to be a lot harder when some people are going to be like, get the H away from me, and I'm going to be like, but we should hug though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm hoping if anything spins out of this, like going back to the artists, I hope it makes people more aware of how they can find and interact and support their favorite artists and stuff outside of these shows, because they'll go, oh, I wanted to get my book signed by Donnie Cates, but he's not here. But like Donnie Cates has been running live streams all week with his wife, and like there's ways you can still connect with these creators outside of the conventions that I hope will inspire more people to regularly support these people.
there have been a lot of really cool things that I have done. I mean, we can use this as a transition to one of the things that we were going to talk about, but
Mhm.
I know a company that I have consistently championed since, for years now has been the Hero Initiative, which is
Mhm.
a charity that is designed to help comics creators in need. And at no bigger time in the world has there been a moment where comics creators have been in need. And they've been actually doing a very rare and unique thing. I got to sit down for an hour with Fabian Nicieza,
Oh,
who was
wow.
one of the creators of Deadpool and the New Warriors and everything like that. And it was like there was four of us and him sitting in a Q&A, and it was like $100 for an hour to do that, and all of that money is funneled through the charity.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like, well, that's just a good use of money in a way that I get to interact with somebody that I like and support people that could use it. And that I know they're doing a ton of stuff. They did it with Chip Zdarsky and Scott Snyder and
Yeah, I saw there was one that was Todd Knock, and you could like talk with him and then he'd do a sketch as well. Like
Yes.
yeah,
Sorry, Todd's one of my favorites. I get a commission from him every year.
oh, cool.
Another like summer
Oh,
camp thing. Like my sister and I go to his booth every NYCC and say hello to him and
he's
get
got
a
the big Spider-Man banner with Todd Knock on him
that's
right there, right?
yeah, it's but Cody really knows him from Nightcrawler and stuff, and that's her favorite X-Men, Nightcrawler. So it was just really exciting to meet him. And it's been like a tradition to get a commission from him every year at New York. So when Jeff
Oh
says he's going in guns blazing to Comic Cons, I am too.
yeah,
Artist Alley straight in there.
yeah. I mean, it's if you look at I'm not big on cross promotion, but at one point, like my second to last episode of Sideshow was with Bob Shaw, who runs conventions. It's one of his jobs. He's a comics retailer and artist rep, and he runs comic book
wow.
conventions. And one of the things he said is he was talking about like what we can expect from conventions next, like what's on the docket, what's coming up, and it's been fascinating to see, you know, what we're going into a new world. And a lot of conventions are going to start doing a lot of stuff digitally in order to survive until they can get back to doing things in person.
Well, and I'd be interested to see if with the rise of remote video streaming, if there's ways that then maybe creators who were invited to the show but they can't make it physically, what if they appear on panels where you can, like, the way that they change up the type of content?
Mhm.
Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? But I also know that creators now more than ever have had time to take commissions, to do sketches, to interact with fans. A lot of them, a lot of the time that they would spend prepping for cons has now been canceled. That gives them extra hours in the day occasionally. I mean, they're still working hard at their actual jobs, but sometimes,
Yeah.
and I've been seeing them be like way cheaper than I expected. A lot of times original artwork is at a premium at a convention because of supply and demand, but now they're just like, hey, I'll do a commission for $75, and it might be 100 or 150 at a con. So now's the time, if you're a fan of a specific artist, to really look into it, because there is some really great stuff, and a lot of times this money's going towards charities.
So do we want to use that to segue into kind of one of the other big charity topics of this week? This last week we had an initiative that was kind of grown within the community. It was Gwenda Bond, Brian Michael Bendis, Sam Humphries, and a few other names that are escaping me. There was a big outpouring of kind of creators, literally creators for comics, raising money to support Bink, the book. Oh goodness, I forget what the I is, but
A charity that supports like bookstores
yeah,
and things, right?
yeah. Sorry, I always just say, yeah, it's Bink, but like a book retailer,
Book industry charitable foundation.
Okay.
Yeah. No, wait, that's an F.
Yeah, but there's an
We're really
I
good at
and an
acronyms.
industry. Is this this is good pod?
This is exceptional comics work right here. But anyways, it was a really so to your point of people having more time. Some of the unique offerings. This was individual artists and creators hosted auctions of their own volition on the world's weirdest auction platform, Twitter. And it was things like, sit down and talk with me about books, or I'll draw you into this comic book, or here's a collection of my things. Or a lot of people were doing commissions, which was really cool. I liked seeing the outpouring of the work, and also where people were starting their bids or kind of valuing their work to start with, and then seeing what spawned from that.
I definitely loved the variety of things offered as well. Like, I expected the commissions. That's most people, and most people have a commission list even when cons aren't canceled all over the place. But then the Zoom conferences with artists and little creative jam sessions, and we're gonna teach you how to write comics, or about drawing first issues. That's incredible. That's so accessible, and those are the kind of things that you would see at Comic-Con panels, maybe, right? And now you get to do them, and it all goes to charity. That was just one of the most incredible community, like comic community events I've ever seen happen.
I won an auction.
Yay! So did I.
As did I.
Oh, great. What did we get? Okay.
Do you want to go first?
Oh, ladies first.
Okay. Jasmine, you want to go first?
I won anthologies that Amy has actually written for.
Yeah, I did an itty bitty little auction lot, and it was very sweet. Didn't get as much traction as other people, but it still did get to help the charity. So I will be sending Jasmine some of the books that I've written.
I'm so excited.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. Amy, what did you win?
So I actually signed up, won a one-on-one chat kind of writer consultation with Sam Humphries from DC Comics, and he is throwing Bendis's Words for Pictures book, which is all about writing. And so I want to learn more about that skill, and so I'm pretty excited about that. And I have a lot of questions for him, so I hope Sam's ready.
I hope he is. He didn't know what he got himself into by letting you win that. I won a set of comics creators trading cards.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
I just kicked my tripod from Jody Hauser. Actually, she was sending me a full set plus a signed Jody Hauser card,
Very
and those will
nice.
go right in the binder with my complete set of 1992 comics creators trading cards that I have sitting in my place.
Wow. I was going to
Yeah,
ask if you were going to get top loaders for them, but you got a binder.
I have a binder already that's an official comics creators trading cards binder that I picked up not too long ago. I happened to cross
creators
it.
who have trading cards?
Yeah.
Well, it was 1992, so there were guys like Bob McLeod, Neil Gaiman, Art Sinnett, and like
Wow.
a lot of people that were sort of big. Yeah, it was great. I loved it, and it was funny because Neil Gaiman's picture, he's got like the long kind of black feathered hair, and it looks like picture day, and I tweeted about them not too long ago and mentioned that he really showed up. He ended up replying. He was like, I like that they gave me a tan in that picture.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, but I do have that set of trading cards because that's useful. I'm gonna need that to pay my rent someday, I'm sure. Right?
I've never seen those, but I picture them as like the chocolate frog cards in Harry Potter, and all the creators are kind of waving at you from the
Yeah, they're basically alive.
Yeah.
I know there was a Chip Zdarsky trading card floating around there. It's I don't think he has a shirt on.
No, but okay, so I will tell you something very interesting about that card. So that Chip Zdarsky card is based off of a card that's based off of another card. You see, in the set that I have, Todd McFarlane is in the exact same position. Todd McFarlane grew up playing baseball, and he was I believe, drafted. He was drafted to go into the pros before he made it big in comics. However, Todd McFarlane made that card based off of a Jose Canseco baseball card from Score in 1991 for the
now
Dream Team.
See how you know this.
And of course, yes, I've done a podcast called Jose Cansecast. But I knew that because I was a huge fan. So when I saw the Chip Zdarsky card, I'm like, that looks like the Jose Canseco card. And then I got the set of the comic creators trading cards and saw the Todd card, and I said, it all makes sense now.
Oh my goodness. Wow, you heard it here first, folks. That's insane.
This is the kind of stuff that you bring me on here for, Amy.
I love it. I absolutely love it. You are now our official trading card consultant too. So
oh no, that's not a good idea. No, we don't want that. But yeah, I was so excited. We got 3 winners here.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited about that. Have you been reading a lot of comics?
Lately, I was reading some comics, and then I quickly had to put a halt on reading those comics. And I've never had this happen before, because I actually haven't read too many of the fandom-based comics. I have read some of the Stranger Things comics and the Critical Role, which in my life, please don't. I have gotten equal squeals of delight and shouts of horror from people discovering that this is my first time with Buffy. But from everything I read online, the reboot was like, it's the characters you know and love, but it's a new situation. It's super accessible. And I picked it up and I got through 2 issues and realized this is spoiler territory. I got to back it out of there. So I have put those books down for now.
Can I ask a question? Now, when you say it's a reboot, does that mean it ignores the season 8 stuff that Dark Horse did?
Yes.
Because Joss Whedon wrote those. Joss Whedon wrote a bunch of them as well. And Brian K. Vaughan, I believe, also did some. And Christos Gage, I believe, as well.
Yeah, so it does ignore that because Boom Studios kind of wanted to take it in their own direction. And I didn't realize it. I think the series only started last year, but they've already got 3 trades and a 5-issue miniseries called Hellmouth. And so like they've been really pedal to the metal with it. But yes, as a reboot, it starts you like Buffy's working a weird job, and Willow has already discovered certain things about herself that I'm not supposed to know yet. And I think a bad guy from season 4 shows up so I was like, I don't know what's going on. I made a mistake. I have to bounce. But I've never had that experience before, but I guess that might be because I haven't read too many fandom based. I mean, it's weird. I guess every comics is fandom based, but like the television show specific kind of cult classic.
What you're saying
Stories.
is basically that anything that's based off of a pre-existing property, you don't often.
Not often, no. Yeah, so this was a shock, and I was like, oopsie daisy. So now I'm back on the DC Universe app, checking out some of the Batman comics I had saved.
I am loving the DC Universe app. I really am.
Yes.
I've actually been reconnecting because I had gotten the DC Universe app a while ago for a different show that I do where I kind of had to have it because I needed access to a bunch of Batman stuff. And the comics, when it was originally set up, the comics portion of it was not good. It wasn't well organized. It wasn't great. And they have since reinvigorated it and they have reorganized it to be very streamlined, very good. I am catching up on all the Tom King Batman that
very nice.
the ones that I have the floppy copies of, but never had the time to read. It's funny because I still buy comics. I just kind of haven't had time to read comics. And
That's
this is the first time in like a year and a half that I've been able to actually sit down and read comics.
Hey, but I mean, at least you're still supporting your store by picking up the books.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a big LCS guy, big comic shop guy.
Yeah. Well,
How about
Jasmine,
you?
oh, sorry. I know that they just added one of Jasmine's favorite books to the app.
Yes, they did. I don't have the app. I still need to get it. That's on my list because there's a lot of DC stuff that I need to catch up on. But yeah, White Knight is on there now. I've been telling Paul he has to read it, and he has no excuse now. So next week, tune into Comics Hall, and if Paul hasn't read White Knight, you can all tell him to read White Knight in the comments. I love that book. Curse just finished up, and I'm probably going to reread them soon because I have a bad habit of rereading my favorite comics. Like I read the new ones when I get them, but I keep rereading my favorite comics.
That's that's a good habit.
Yeah, well, yeah, but my to read stack is pretty high at this point.
Oh yeah. No, I feel you on that one. White Knight's great. Sean Gordon Murphy is fantastic. He's such a generally good and nice person too, which you always love when you bump into somebody who writes something you enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, when I met him at NYCC, I had a little sticky note on the front cover of my comic that said which booth number he was at, because I go hard at NYCC organizational wise. So I had that, I had it on the stack, and I gave it to him with the sticky note still on, and I went to pull it off, and he said, no, and he sketched Joker onto the J, one of that, and so, I have a little sticky note with Joker on it, because he just, did that for me, and it's yeah, so I could talk about, lovely comic creators and their books and stuff, but that has a...
I'm not against that.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So we did ask in the chats what people are reading to go along with our discussion. And JJ Joe on Facebook says Star Wars, Darth Vader, Harley Quinn, Firefly. And then Cody Edwards says catching up on a lot of X-Men and a few indie trades I missed. And in YouTube, Alex Aronowitz says that he is reading all the Dark Horse and Hellboy universe. That's a lot.
Oh, that's good. That's so Alex. Oh, my kitty's trying to walk by. And we'll see if he can make it through.
I want to see your kitty.
It looks like he's already made it out of the room. Well, he's like halfway in, halfway out right here. Okay,
yes.
He's not. This is Roan's. He's actually Valerie's kitty, but he's a good cat. He's real good.
Oh,
he's a good man. He's a good, sweet old man.
Adriana on Facebook says she's reading Mercy by Mirka Andolfo.
Yes, I did get to review the first issue, and I believe the first issue was the only one that did come out before comics production halted. That one was really deeply intriguing. That's like a Victorian Gothic horror.
Whoa.
And who did you say? Adriana? If you haven't, there's actually a website that goes along with Mercy. Which is, there's like a freaky live action trailer where they actually had someone dress up as Lady Helene. So you should check out, because Mirka Andolfo has been putting together like mood boards and little stories that kind of add to your experience if you've finished the first issue and you're kind of ravenous for more. That's really cool.
That's neat. That's like a multimedia project around a comic. That's cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty fantastic. I am let's see. I brought a lot with me because I'm quarantining at Val's place. So I'm quarantining at my girlfriend's place. So I brought a lot of stuff. Oh, there he is. Hi, Rose. So I did bring a lot of trades with me, both that I needed to get caught up on and stuff that I wanted to share with Val. So I've been reading Alias. So Jessica Jones,
So
the
good.
introduction to her, I love her so much. Here's a book that a fan actually purchased and mailed me that I haven't had time to read. It's Descender.
Oh wow.
By Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. So there's that. I got the Silver Surfer Omnibus by Dan Slott and Mike Allred. I got a cat literally on my lap. Something that I was really happy about finding was the Alien 3 hardcover, the original. They did a comic of the original screenplay. Oh,
And that one's from Dark Horse?
it is. It is. I got so much stuff. I brought Superman's Secret Identity by Kurt Busiek and Stuart Immonen. It's my favorite Superman story. Just get settled, dude. Just get settled right here. It's fun. You know what? It's fine. I brought a lot, but I'm gonna back to you, Chet. This is everything. This is exactly the kind of stuff that I am here for, if I can be 100% honest. Do you want to sit on the pillow? You can sit on the pillow.
His tail looks like a microphone stand for you.
Yeah. Hello? Is anybody?
Now, when you showed the Alias trades, I have to throw in I think my all-time favorite issue of comics ever, period, full stop, is from Alias. It's number 10.
I was going to say it's Alias number 10, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
The watercolor issue.
Yes, that one just brings me such joy. Like that one, I will just go pull the trade out and reread every now and then.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I was very happy that I had the floppy copies of that too, because I bought Alias from day one.
Wow.
I was intrigued at the Marvel Max run. I really liked what Alonso and Quesada were doing with Marvel at the time. So I bought it right away. I was like, I'm in. And man, that's such a good book.
Yeah, that one is I think one of the all-time, just forget
Perfect.
the Marvel label, like it's truly something else.
Yeah, the general plot, if you're wondering, is she's a PI and she's hired by J. Jonah Jameson to find out who Spider-Man is, and it's great.
And she doesn't, but she makes sure that
well, no spoilers.
Yeah, well, I won't spoil it, but it's so good. Oh, and with Ben Urich and just like the kind of room at the Bugle, and just, oh gosh. I know Michael Gaydos had one of the paintings available on his store. I don't know if it's still there, but that's one of those things where I'm like, someday.
I bought a page from Michael Gaydos from the Pulse.
I have a page from the Pulse too. It's the one you can't see behind me over there.
Oh yeah, that's right. You have a page from Pulse 13?
14, I think. It's like the very last issue. It's a flashback sequence with Luke and Jess.
I have Pulse 12, and it's the labor issue. It's the issue where she goes into labor, and it takes place at Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum when they bring her there.
Is it the one where Luke Cage is requesting Public Enemy?
It's them walking. It's Iron Man. It's like Cap, Iron Man. They're like walking her in as she's in labor. And it's got, like, opening the door. I also picked up Cover by Bendis and David Mack. I haven't read it yet.
David Mack, yeah.
So yeah, I ran into David at Long Beach Comic Con. He's a bud, and I was just like, I felt guilty about not having read it. So I was just like, I'm going to take that. I'll buy that.
I need to read the Kabuki. That's definitely on my list. Yeah.
Kabuki is so good. I am loving the fact that Rones has decided to participate in this show.
Well, what's he reading?
He turns out can't read. He can't read. It's not. He's just very dumb.
But I bet he would love Chewie from Captain Marvel.
Probably. He would probably be down. A lot of people say he looks like Goose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I brought Sweet Tooth, another Jeff Lemire book. I brought Sweet
Ooh,
Tooth for Val to read because she never has. She's never read it. And I brought. Let's see. I got Atomic Robo Volume 1 because I have an Atomic Robo page, even though I haven't actually read the book yet because I am a poser. And then I got Straczynski Thor and Straczynski Superman that I wanted
very
to check
nice.
out.
Wow,
And that's it.
that's quite a
brought a-
stack.
Yeah.
That's just the stuff that I wanted to read here. I went back over and put my books back into a bookcase and unpacked, and I have too many. Probably too many.
Never too many.
Is there? Yeah.
Yeah, so we got some more comments coming in on Facebook and YouTube as well. So let's see. Jason Todd on YouTube says he's reading Teen Titans.
No way. No way.
Maybe to study their moves. Yeah, there's the user Jason Todd on YouTube. And then
I met him at New York Comic Con.
Oh yeah. And then Facebook, we've got Mitch Travis saying he's reading Once and Future. So I think that's actually a nice segue into another point that we wanted to discuss is one of the other big pieces of news and comic book content creation is Boom Studios has partnered with Netflix for a first look deal for turning some of their series into shows and movies. So that's pretty exciting. And I believe the article mentioned a handful that are like, these are the ones that are first. And I think Something is Killing the Children and Once and Future were on that list.
Yeah. They did. Oh, so Netflix is going to be producing Boom stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think Mouse Guard was on that list too, because I know they had a failed film project, or not failed, but they had a film project that didn't continue.
They had a project with Fox, and then when Disney bought Fox, Disney was like, "We have a mouse." So unfortunately for David Peterson, that really did fall through, which was a bummer because I am obsessed with. I actually have I bought Mouse Guard when it first came out at a Wizard World Philly in like 2004, 2005.
Wow.
It just looked cool. The format was wide and it was neat. Well, I know Boom has done some Netflix properties in the other regards, right? Like Boom Studios are the ones. Didn't they do Glow?
Actually,
was that
I have
IDW?
I think Glow is IDW. Sorry, I have Glow versus the Babyface on my floor right now.
Of course.
But yeah, I think that was IDW. But I feel like, well, because Boom Studios also has Lumberjanes, which has been kicking around in the ether for a little while. People really clamoring for that one to be something. See, again, I want to say, I think October Faction is also IDW. It's weird that I'm kind of getting those stuff currently, but there are a lot of really great Boom Studios properties.
Yeah.
There was one from their Archaea imprint that was called Toil and Trouble by Margaret Scott, and it was a Macbeth from the witch's perspective. Have you ever read it?
Right up my alley. No, you said it though, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy that right now. Hold on.
You would love it. I cosplayed as one of the three witches. She was the representative of the crone part of the cycle, and each one had like an element. So it was like earth, sea, and sky. And so I cosplayed as like the bird-like elder witch, and Margaret was pregnant at that Comic-Con, and so I was like, I'm gonna curse your son to be the King of Scotland, which was pretty funny. But like that series is beautiful, and I feel like it never got really talked about after the book was finished, but like it remains one of my favorite like literary based comic books ever.
The Archaea imprint really put out a lot of really great stuff. I remember they did the Dark Crystal when they were putting that out, and they worked directly with Brian Frode, I believe.
Oh wow.
And so that was really good. God, man, there's so much stuff that I buy with the intent of reading, and it just sits on my shelves. And I've really got to use this as an opportunity to go for it, because I have the Dark Crystal books, and I just haven't touched them yet either. And there was that Jim Henson one. There was a Jim Henson one, like The Sands of something or whatever, that I think won an Eisner.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but the title is escaping me.
Yeah, it won an Eisner or a Harvey, I forget, but I should have known what I was talking about before I just started spouting off information. But
It's all good. It's all good.
shout out.
We riff here. So we are about halfway, little more than halfway through the show. I want to remind you guys out there, we are doing a giveaway for the Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy statue from DC Direct. This is a beautiful, beautiful statue. I think we're going to drop the links again in Gleam. And don't forget that there is a secret code word. My brain is justifying this. It's Earth Day. No one loves Earth Day more than Poison Ivy. So our code word is poison. And you can enter that on the Gleam when you go to register for the contest, and that will give you, I believe, 1,000 extra entries. That's a big
extras,
number
yeah.
of entries.
Mhm.
Yeah,
so
we got.
you can.
Yes, the 1,000 extra entries, and the code word is in all capital letters.
Oh yes, all capital letters. Poison in honor of Earth Day, and because it matches the
Ooh.
statue.
Shout
That's pretty
out
exciting.
to Lake Bell, who does an amazing Poison Ivy on Harley Quinn.
Dude, oh my god, Poison Ivy is my favorite DC character, and like, oh my god, I slammed the whole first season of that as soon as I got the DC Universe app, and now I've been following it weekly. It is the greatest interpretation of Poison Ivy that like I could have possibly hoped for.
That's awesome.
The Harley Quinn cartoon was I'm embarrassed to say that I was fully uninvested in it when they announced it, because I was like, ugh, like, we get it. She's a popular character. You guys are milking her for all she's worth. It makes sense. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, this is like one of my favorite shows of the year.
Yeah.
Like, Harley Quinn is legitimately, to me, one of the most enjoyable things to do with a half hour. It's just, I mean, I liked it, like, because it and I believe The Mandalorian were coming out at the same time.
Yeah,
And-
about November last year.
Yeah, and on Fridays too, even. Oh, wait, or I think it was, or whatever. But like, I remember being like, Harley Quinn was a priority. It's just
Nice.
so perfectly written. It's so amazing. God, it's so good. And they turned around a season 2 so fast.
Yeah. I mean, and the fact that it's called Harley Quinn, but the fact that it's a vehicle for audiences to get just such bizarre and wonderful Clayface and King Shark content, and even Dr. Psycho.
Shout out to James Adomian's Bane, where they took the Bane character and they made him so funny.
Yeah. I've more than on one occasion been like, I kind of feel for Bane. I kind of identify with Bane here.
Yeah, it's funny too, because they definitely they went to, the irony is they went to a lot of Los Angeles comedians to do those, to write and to perform on that show, and so it really plays out where I'm like, oh, I know that guy. Like, oh, that's a perfect pick. I don't know why I didn't think of that. And then Alan Tudyk's Clayface is one of my favorite things. It's so good.
Yeah.
He's
Such a good show.
Alan's great. His best role being the chicken from Moana. Just Alan Tudyk clucking around the entire film. That's great. No, he has other great roles, but that's just
Well, and he was also, and I haven't gotten to Doom Patrol yet. I'm really meaning to do so. He was the villain in Doom Patrol, wasn't
yes,
he?
he's the weird narrator. I don't remember the villains. Mr. Nobody, maybe.
I think it's Mr. Nobody.
Yeah, yeah, he was creepy in that. I loved Doom Patrol. Love present tense. I still love it. That's a great show. That's a great look at superheroes and like quirking them up, and yeah.
Brendan Fraser getting a foot back in the business.
Yes.
It's funny too, with Alan Tudyk, because he obviously, we think of him sort of as like the characters he's played, like Wash, or Steve the Pirate in Dodgeball, and like, he's been an actor in a lot of things, and yet his voice is the thing that's really pushing him forward, and he's getting all these really great voice roles, and that sort of has taken over, as K2SO, and as the villain in Wreck-It Ralph, and we're just hearing him in everything now. It's so good.
Yes.
I hate him for it.
Darn you, Alan Tudyk. No, it's yeah, Harley Quinn. I can't say enough good things about that show. Like it is so funny. It is one of my favorite parts of getting to Friday in the week. Just like, yes, another Harley Quinn.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, and that's the thing, even with like Teen Titans Go to the movies, the like full-length animated feature, like DC is doing some really smart with enough like pat yourself on the back if you know who this is, cameos and references and stuff, but like it's really smart content. Like it's good. It's so good.
My favorite use in Teen Titans Go to the Movies, which I saw in the theater twice, was they used Jimmy Kimmel as Batman, and they just made him kind of like grunt the whole time.
Oh my goodness. I loved the whole the sequence in which they were taking out all the older superheroes as babies, and I was just like, this is horrible, and I love it. Like
it's pretty great. It's a really wonderful, cheeky sort of move there.
Yeah.
I did like that. So what was I going to say? Are there any other books now that you're like, I'm going to like order this, or I'm going to do whatever I can to get, like, are there books that you want right now that you're like, this is the time, I got to go for it?
Well, I think since we're talking about Harley Quinn, everybody should pick up Harleen. I want to say the author's name. He also drew it. I don't know how to pronounce it, and I don't want to butcher it.
My best approximation of his name is Stepan Sajic.
Okay.
That's
yes.
But I'm not sure if that's how you say it.
It's 3 oversized magazine books, Harleen, and it's in a hardcover now, and it's one of the best, if not the best, telling of her story and her origin with Joker that I've ever read.
It's the DC Black Label, right?
Yes.
Yes.
There's some good stuff on there.
Mm-hmm.
Black Label, I mean, what was the first Black Label book? Was Batman Damned, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
by Azzarello and Bermejo, and then it was a smashing success, involving some wonderful controversy in that regard.
Oh yeah.
But then they made some more. I mean, I picked up the Bill Sienkiewicz question, and I know what Joker and Harley is another one, right?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah,
like
I think Criminal Sanity.
Yeah.
Yes, because I know Mike Mayhew talked about it when he came on to Sideshow, the process of making that, because they did 2 different artists depending on what time period you were doing it. Was who the artist was going to be. Sort of like how in Alias they used Mark Bagley for the superhero flashbacks and Michael Gaydos as the real-time stuff.
Yeah, I like that. I love when they get creative with that type of stuff, whether it's switching an artist or switching like the color palette or whatever's going on. And one of my favorite things that now I've been spoiled with Russell Dodderman's Thor and his recent X-Men book, when people mess with the panel shape, I'm all over that. Like when people get real creative with panels and sound effects, it's good stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff out there. I know a lot of the Deadpool books have had a lot of fun with sort of that fourth wall process, and that's been a very Looney Tunesy version of the system.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, I always like to go back to John Byrne's She-Hulk for that kind of stuff as well. Like when she like pulls herself and Wheezy like through a panel I love that stuff.
The cover of her carrying John Byrne. Always great.
There's
one where she kicks him down the whole page or something like that, kicks him off a building and he goes down the whole page or something.
Yeah, there's some pretty great things there.
There's a Constantine run I read, and 2 whole pages you have to flip it to read it, and he's like on the top level of this nightclub, and then he walks all the way down through a bunch of the different levels, and they're all like levels of hell, and then then it's like all the way at the end and stuff, but it's the full 2 pages this nightclub that he's walking through, and they're like little itty bitty. Yeah, aisles and stuff.
There's the Silver Surfer omnibus. The Silver Surfer number 11. It was they call it the Mobius strip issue, where it's like an infinite issue, and where it reads backwards and forwards, and it's like a board game. It's like it crisscrosses over, so some of the panels are upside down and some of them are right side up, and you have to read it and like kind of. And I think that one won the Eisner for best solo issue, best single issue.
I
It's
wouldn't
really
be
good.
surprised.
Harder to
Wow.
read as an omnibus than it was as a floppy copy, if you can believe it. There's also like the Pizza Dog issue of Hawkeye. Hawkeye number 11.
I think it's 11 or 13. It's one of those weird numbers.
That one's just so great, like done through the perspective of a dog that's just hanging out around him and do like that.
Yeah,
I do stuff. I love when they get unique with the storytelling process, where it's not just the same over and over and over and over, like panel, which I still love. But it is nice to see when people get creative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To answer your question about like any books that I'm like dying to go back for, actually most of the stuff that I'm like, okay, I haven't, the things that it's like I have to read and I haven't had the chance to, it's the big back catalog of DC stuff. So I've been using the DC app because I know more Marvel, and so I much more easily can commit to a Marvel book. And then with DC, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to buy the Hush trade paperback because I don't know if I'll like it. But I just finished Hush about a week or two ago, and now I'm moving on to Long Halloween, and I'm checking out Dial H for Hero.
Which one? The original one from back in the day, or the reboots in the early 2000s, or the
I'm
one?
checking out the reboots and whatever they've got available. I know that for the new series, only the first issue's been made available, but I'm like so intrigued by this concept, and I've literally never heard of the Hero tale before, so I'm going to be checking out the backlog on DC Universe.
It's pretty rad. I get sort of interviewy sometimes when I do these shows. It's I guess it's natural, but apologies if I just spring questions on you like that.
No, it's all good. Wanted to remind everybody who's paying attention in the chats right now, we do have a giveaway going on for a Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy statue from DC Direct. It is the two lovely ladies together. Oh, we got that on the screen right now. That's pretty nifty. I believe it is an all sculpt piece, super cute. Like a really nice piece. I have a half dozen DC Direct pieces in my own collection. So you can enter to win that. We did drop a code word. Should we repeat the secret code, or should we let them find that in the video?
I mean, it is Earth Day, so.
It is Earth Day, and no one quite likes it as much as our green gal herself. So we'll say it one more time. The code is POISON in all capital letters in honor of Poison Ivy. So you guys can check that out, and moderator Bree will be dropping that link in the chats for you guys. And we're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think we're in our Facebook group, Let Your Geek Sideshow, so you guys can check that out and grab that and enter to win.
Am I diagonal? Have I been diagonal this whole time?
No?
Okay. I'm like looking at it, I'm like, wait, am I off kilter? I don't.
You're breaking the panel rules, and.
Yeah. Wait a second.
You're gonna reach out of your bumper.
I've been told that is normal for me. So good. Thanks.
You can always blame the cat.
Oh, he left. He was over it.
Oh,
he was like, he's like, did I disrupt the show? Okay, I'm good. I was going to ask, now that I have you, because I love Comics Hall. So I'm going to ask some comics questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
If you could pick a book by any creative team, what would the character be, and what would the creative team be? Give me writer. We'll do writer and penciler, and if that penciler has their own preferred inker, I guess they would just go for that. Or if you have a preferred inker.
Okay. Okay. So I think I've pitched this exact book to Paul before, because he has an idea for Green Lantern Abraham Lincoln that he'll have to tell you sometime. But I would like Kelly Thompson as the writer, Carmen Carnero as the artist, and I'm going to do you one better with Tamara Bonvillain as the colorist specifically, because I love the way that they've worked on Captain Marvel together. But I want an Elsa Bloodstone book. Kelly Thompson's kind of the queen of bringing in characters who then maybe get a little bit more focus later, because she did the A-Force, she did Hawkeye. Hawkeye had a Jessica Jones cameo that was kind of her audition to be Bendis's successor for the character. And so she's been sneaking Elsa Bloodstone in wherever she can. She's in Deadpool right now. I don't have a specific plot. I feel like it would be a nice Monster of the Week type comic with maybe some bigger overarching plot that resolves nicely in an arc or two, but I just really badly want Elsa Bloodstone to have her own book, Monster of the Week, lots of tea, lots of profanity, and I think it could be a nice answer to the kind of self-aware humor of the Harley Quinn animated series or of Deadpool, but with a different type of character.
It kind of reminds me of like a Next Wave.
Yes.
If you've ever read Next Wave,
Yes.
that sort of like self-reverent action comedy with like the big sort of apocalyptic stuff going on.
Yes. So I would love anything like that, because Kelly Thompson is one of the writers who's quickly becoming I will read anything they write, no questions asked. And there's only a very few writers for me that I'll do that for.
And Jasmine, what about you?
Oh, see, this is one of those questions that as soon as people ask, I'm like, I don't read comics. I don't know anything. I don't know any names ever. But one of my favorite comics ever is The Wicked and the Divine by Kieran Gillen with Jamie McKelvey, and that whole creative team. I would just take all of them and ask them to do something with all of Shakespeare's characters, like just have characters from a bunch of different plays and their versions of who those would be interact across whatever time period they want. Like, I would give complete creative control over that. I just want Shakespeare and I want that team.
So like almost like a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen for Shakespearean specific characters.
Yes.
Oh, I like that.
Oh my goodness, Kieran would absolutely kill on
yes,
that one.
Yes, he would. Yeah.
Especially because in The Wicked and Divine with those alternate era specials, we got to see little, like, I was like, oh, okay, this is the romantic writers. Like, this is Kieran Gillen's version of Edgar Allan Poe and Mary Shelley and Lord Byron and stuff. And like, that was just so delicious as well. Like,
yeah,
I think they would do some great work on that. What about yourself, Jeff? Oh, sorry. You want to?
No. I was just saying I really want them to all be able to work together again, because I'm sad that it's over. It ended so beautifully, and I'm glad it ended on their terms and everything they wanted about it. I miss it so much.
Agreed.
I would I'd probably chase. I feel like a thing that I would really enjoy would be a sort of continuation of the X-Men from the 80s. The Outback era, which is kind of like my favorite era of the X-Men. I would like that written by Chip Zdarsky, and I would like that drawn by Art Adams.
Oh wow!
And that, to me, I mean, because Art, famously, did that classic X-Men #1 cover that's been reproduced a billion times, and he did a lot of stuff with the X-Men during the 80s and the long shot character and everything like that. But to have him revisit it after he's really sort of cemented the style that he started back then, and to have it written by somebody who can have sort of that fun reverence for it, because X-Men was very serious, but also there was a lot of fun to it, and I would like to see that. So I would like to see sort of like an alternate timeline, sort of like how they are recently revisited Batman the Animated Series with the Batman Animated Adventures comic. That to see that sort of happen with that era of X-Men, I would love to see. Man, that would be fun.
Man, Chip Zdarsky. I've really liked the way that he's, and I don't want to say matured, because first of all, that's the wrong word, but he's also he's an extremely talented writer and always has been. But the fact that he's sort of like, especially with Daredevil, moving away from just being the funny books guy, but like he still can do an incredible amount of humor. Yeah. But yeah, I've been impressed by the range of Chip Zdarsky lately. We're getting a couple people in the Facebook chat answering the question for themselves.
Ooh, I like that.
Christopher Jacobson They don't have artists attached, so if you gentlemen are listening, please come up with your all-star artist team as well. But Christopher Jacobson would love to read a Batman by Garth Ennis, and JJ Joe would love to read Batman by Donny Cates.
Ooh, I would say Batman by Garth Ennis. I would want the art by John McCree. If I was going to pick John McCree, he and Garth Ennis did Hitman, and they worked on Demon. If you've ever seen that classic kind of white Demon cover, John McCree is sort of, he and Steve Dillon were Garth Ennis's go-to guys, and unfortunately Steve Dillon passed not too long ago. So we got that going for us. And then the other one was Donny Cates.
Yes.
Batman by Donny Cates. Maybe Ed McGuinness. Ed McGuinness has killed it on Batman in the past. He's really knocked it out of the park.
And he's been doing some good work on the Avengers book right now with Jason Aaron. Okay, JJ Joe in Facebook says he would like Donny Cates writing Batman illustrated by J. Scott Campbell.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would be great. J. Scott Campbell drawing dudes. I'm into that. Oh, he's great. Right. I mean, I think he's very talented. I just think he tends to get sort of pulled more towards female characters.
Yeah. Well, he did that 6 fan arts meme recently, and I was wildly impressed by I think he did John Wick as one of the characters. I was like, oh my God, like this is like, he did Sailor Moon, and I was like, okay, this is the traditional beautiful J. Scott Campbell female character, but like the not caricature, but the kind of portrait style he got on John Wick was fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, he's very talented, and it's good to see that sort of the potential of that sort of note being picked up. I would like that a lot. I like these like the fantasy book and everything like that, where people put them together, because there's some cool stuff that people can come up with.
And maybe just maybe, if we say something crazy enough, one of those creative teams will actually turn out to be correct.
Oh, I mean, there's so much. There's so many things that you could be like, oh, wouldn't it be cool seeing like Jay Lee drawing Conan? Or Conan. Conan is a different character.
I mean, Conan the Barbarian.
Whatever goes, yeah.
No, that's a lot of fun. So I think no one gave any drafts on YouTube, and I think we're good on Facebook. I think that's a good question to kind of leave our show on. And I think I'd like to see if we can put this up on our social, or do you have it post on your social? Just kind of get people's opinions on their fantasy drafts.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. So for anyone who didn't get to answer it in the chats, keep thinking, do your weekend homework. We'd love to hear about like your ultimate comic, because it's a cool way to see how people either like to pair writers and artists and be like, these people would complement each other well, or it's just, these are my favorites doing my favorite character, or it's a cool thought exercise. Just a reminder to you guys, we did drop a link just a little bit ago. We do have a giveaway going on. You can search the video for the code word and the details, but we are giving away a Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy statue from DC Direct. This has been a big week. I know that time doesn't mean anything anymore, but the loss of Comic-Con, the outpouring of charity, we've got new changes on the horizon. Comic books are still there. You can still read and access your comics digitally. You can still get mail orders. So they're out there. Yeah. And if you're like Jeff, you've got a big stack of books that you can reread and some cool omnibuy.
Yeah. Omnibuy. But definitely, I mean, I know Amy and I have both worked at local comic shops in the past, and we know, and I think you know too, let's keep these businesses afloat. They need it. They have been there. They have been our island, our mecca, our safe place, our go-to spot. I've met some of my closest friends at comic shops and comic conventions, and we want to do everything we can to keep them alive. So if you have somebody you love, and if you can do something to help, if you have a store and you can order something, or a lot of stores are doing grab bags where you just tell them what you like, and they just will throw a bunch of stuff in a bag and give it to you.
And that's ultimately, like, that is one of my favorite things. It's because even if you don't have a specific request, there's something out there for you, and these people want nothing more than to get a book into your hands that they think you're genuinely going to enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout
And
out.
until that day where we can go back into conventions, guns blazing, hugs and books and all that stuff, we're gonna keep doing what we do, keep reading books. But as long as everyone stays safe and is just nice to each other and helps out their stores, I think we will get back to those days before too long.
I'm sorry, what?
I mean, that was a nice shot. I was like, okay, we can just leave there. Everybody quick, whip out a comic and start reading. And
Run over.
yeah, the Buffy comic I'm not supposed to be reading. I'm not looking. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This has been the Comics Hall. I'm Amy.
I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Jeff.
And we will see you guys next week. Sideshow's Facebook, YouTube, 4 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you guys so much. And don't forget to keep reading comics and let your geek side show.
And stay in Sideshow.
And stay in Sideshow.